So first of all, I would also like to make a particular thanks to the EU delegation to the UN, the permanent missions of Spain and Tunisia, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, the Executive Secretary of the Financial Action Task Force, and the UN Special Rapporteur on the promotion and protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms while countering terrorism. To effectively reform this system, we need to do so hand in hand with member states, regional bodies, and the United Nations institutions that work on counterterrorism and human rights. I would also like to sincerely thank all the hundreds of CSO organisations, civil society organisations, who have joined from all around the world, hundreds and hundreds of you, and who have participated in this event. This event is about you and for you, and the victims of the excessive and misplaced counterterrorism measures, those that have unjustifiably deprived persons of life, liberty, security, and dignity in the name of counterterrorism, have inflicted untold damage in terms of closing democratic and civic space. We also acknowledge the victims of terrorism and that measures in the context of CT need to consider both the victims of terrorism and the victims of counterterrorism measures. We acknowledge the societies that have been disrupted and destabilised as a result of counterterrorism agenda and that have not had the privilege of peace, security, humanitarian protection. In conclusion, I would say from hearing everything that we have heard today, from the incredibly important discussion that we've had, that is clear from all that has been said, that we need a system. We need a system that is centred on people, peace building, humanitarianism, and a common respect for the promotion of human rights. We've identified, and I think it's pretty clear from the discussions, 4 important recommendations and 4 important trends that we've seen coming out. The first is that, especially since the catastrophe of 9/11, counterterrorism responses have been over-securitized and militarized, and they have not delivered genuine safety and security for most people and communities. That there is a significant danger in what we are seeing today and has been raised so eloquently by the Special Rapporteur, Nia Lane, that the exponential growth of UN counterterrorism bodies and mechanisms without adequate and equal attention to the pillars of the UN system concerned with human rights, peace building and humanitarian protection is in fact a threat to us all. Thirdly, that counterterrorism measures, both as a matter of law and policy, must not only respect human rights, but should also promote them. UN counterterrorism measures will only be fit for purpose if and when civil society is given a greater voice in their design, not just in their implementation. Fifth, and I'm doing a few more than I said I would, that's because we've added as the session has gone on, there are significant dangers in applying a security-minded approach to the international response to COVID-19. There is a moment now that, in the light of the Black Lives Matter movement and other things we have seen, to really reflect on further criminalisation and further securitization, and whether in fact that is the response to the threats that we all collectively face, and whether they are the effective responses. And finally, that states and the UN must ensure that measures designed to protect and assist victims of terrorism, which is incredibly important, respect human rights and are not only used as a pretext to undermine human rights. So finally, we as human rights, peace building and humanitarian organisation stand ready to walk hand in hand with the UN and member states to construct an inclusive system and to collectively respond to terrorism and other challenges that we face as a global community. We're living in an unprecedented times, as we all note today, in light of COVID-19 and the extraordinary things that we are seeing each and every day in relation to Black Lives Matters and racism and all those issues. These can only be overcome if civil society, those people who are impacted and affected by the measures that the United Nations and that member states are implementing, are at the centre, not the periphery, of the response to our security. So I again would like to thank you, and I'll leave you with those messages today, but we will not be leaving here without a further plan going forward. Like any good organisation of states, of organisations or others, we have plans and we would like to see those plans implemented. So what are we going to do going forward? There will be many things, and we will certainly take up all of the suggestions and all of the comments that have been made by the states and the UN in terms of, and UN representatives, in terms of how you will look to ensure that we are not only invited to the table and thankful for the invitation, but we are at the heart of what you are doing. And really, that is the challenge for you, because it's not enough to have us at the table. We have to be seen as genuine partners in this endeavour. So in July, we intend to hold another event to ensure that this conversation continues through and beyond UNCT Week. And we hope that in the context of UNCT Week, those that are hosting it will reflect on the conversations that we will have today, that we have had today. We look forward to hearing from Spain and other states, Spain in particular as the co-coordinator of the Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy Review, as to how we best collaborate and engage in the Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy Review process. And we will be sending our own suggestions, and we look forward to engaging with member states on this. And many member states have been very positive in terms of their engagement with us. And we look forward to that engagement, that continued and sustained engagement. We also look forward to hearing from the Office for Counter-Terrorism about how we can bring our messages to the High-Level Week and be integrated in that. And finally, we encourage all of the CSO participants today. We are not speaking for you. You have voices to speak for yourselves, and we are proud to provide a forum for you. And we want to ensure that you are part of this collective moving forward. We will be preparing a report from this event. And if you would like yourselves, the CSOs, and anyone, the government's representatives, UN representatives, academics, students, and all who've participated, you can contact us on csoadvocacy@gmail.com, and we will provide you with a copy of that report. And we will also obviously be using social media to get that out there. But just to remind you, it's csoadvocacy@gmail.com. Finally, I would like to thank you all and say that we look very forward to taking this process forward. And we thank you very much for your time today.